Good morning and welcome to Canada's Farm Show presented by Viterra. I hope everyone enjoyed that great breakfast that was sponsored by O&T Farm and Oleet Processing. My name is David Beloff and I'm the Saskatchewan Marketplace Leader for Deloitte. Last night at the welcome reception, I had a conversation with Minister Travis Kiesig, and I shared a fear with him. A fear that I would forget to announce or introduce one of the amazing MLAs that are here with us today. And so he said, it'll be impossible to remember everyone, so consider this the blanket thank you to all the elected officials that are here today to join us this morning to listen to the Premier and to enjoy this breakfast. I also spoke with Mayor Chad Bashinsky last night, and he sends his regrets. He has a very busy day ahead of him with budget discussions, and sent his apologies that he can't be here. If there are any of the newly elected city councillors, please finish up your breakfast quickly as you're needed at City Hall ASAP. I'm incredibly honored to greet everyone this morning. Thank you to Real and Canada Farm Show for allowing Deloitte to once again be the Launchpad sponsor. This is exactly where we at Deloitte Canada need to be. Not only as the largest full services firm globally, but we need to be here as a supporter for our ag sector and our government in one of the most volatile and unpredictable times for as long as I can remember. And it is my privilege to introduce our speaker this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our province's 15th Premier, Scott Moe.
Thanks so much, Dave, and welcome everyone to this year's Canada's Farm Show. Much is changing in the world, and we're seeing very much changes right here in our ag industry and in our very own farm show that has a great and rich history of being hosted here in Regina for literally decades. And I want to say thank you to all of the organizers, all of the exhibitors, and most importantly, all of the attendees this year as we see a farm show that is really looking to the future of Saskatchewan agriculture, and I would say that it's Saskatchewan agriculture that is leading the world when it comes to sustainable, efficient production of the food that we essentially at times take for granted in this nation and on this continent, the food security that you provide in what you do each and every day. And so thank you to everyone involved in the show this year. You're going to see at this show some of not only the latest ag equipment, and we walked by a bunch of it on our way in, but you're also going to see very much a focus on innovation and where agriculture is going over the next number of years. And as I said, Saskatchewan is a global leader when it comes to innovation in agriculture. Literally, when you look at when I was a kid and my grandfather had stuck me on a 40-20 John Deere tractor with a 24-foot Vibra cultivator behind it, to where agriculture is today, where literally every piece of equipment on the farm is driven by a GPS satellite. It knows exactly where it is in the field, what it's applying in that particular place. Agriculture has come so far in just a few decades, and certainly much of that innovation, if not virtually all of that innovation, has been centered and came out of Western Canada and came out of the province of Saskatchewan. Now, we have some challenges in this industry right now. We have some challenges in our nation and I would say on our continent. There's a lot of things that are in flux, not the least of which will likely be into a national election campaign in the next week, or probably in the next week. Going over the next number of weeks, we see significant tariff threats and discussion from the President of the United States that is very much, I would say, threatening the viability of the North American economy and threatening jobs on both sides of the border, and definitely, at the very least, is going to push up the inflationary aspects of everything we do, whether it be in food production and business or whether it be in raising our family in whatever community that might be in North America. Certainly not a good discussion and not a good direction for us to be partaking in or to have being done to us in some degree when it comes to providing energy and food security and manufacturing security, North American energy, food and manufacturing security. Doesn't benefit any family that lives in North America. It may benefit other countries that might not be quite as close allies as ours. Second to that, we've now seen a 100% tariff on canola meal and canola oil coming from China, a response to a 100% tariff that was applied to Chinese electric vehicles. vehicles that literally no one in North America, certainly in Canada, was buying, to protect an industry here in Canada that is non-existent, but would build vehicles that few can afford. And the resulting consequences of that is our second largest export market is now unavailable. We're unable to provide Chinese families and beyond with food security, but we're unable to access what is not only a growing market, but is a premium market, and one that we worked at for a number of years as a province, and I would say previously as a nation. If you go back to the days of when Jerry Ritz was our ag minister, that market is there for a reason, and it's there so that we could diversify away from strictly being reliant on the American market when it comes to our canola seed, our canola oil, and our canola meal. As you heard last week, our call has been very simple. There needs to be a federal election as soon as possible, but prior to that, there needs to be a reach out by the new Prime Minister to the Chinese government, to President Xi, to say we need to find a path through this tariff dispute. This is the most urgent, and I would say is going to be the most impactful tariff of all of the ones that are being discussed with respect to Saskatchewan, and I would say even with respect to Western Canada, is the 100% tariff on Canadian, the 100% Chinese tariff on Canadian canola oil and canola crush. Brought into that conversation is pork at 25% and seafood at 25% as well, and so there is some allies across Canada with our Atlantic Canadian premiers. None of this discussion, back to the threat of American tariffs, and there's really 5 threats of tariffs that we are experiencing now in Saskatchewan. 3 are from the U.S. 1 is fentanyl, is based on fentanyl and border security. 2 is the aluminum and steel tariffs that are in place. 3 is the reciprocal tariffs that could potentially come in place on April the 2nd. 4 is counter tariffs that would come from our own federal government that would have an impact on Canadian families and Canadian businesses. And then 5 is the Chinese tariff on canola and seafood, which I had mentioned. None of this is positive for North American energy security, North American food security, what you do each and every day. We are very integrated across this border, and manufacturers and ag producers and everyone in the ag industry knows that better than virtually any other industry out there, but the story is the same industry by industry. In Saskatchewan, for example, if you go through a crop year, you can see that integration at the very front lines. When you start your crop year, a Saskatchewan farmer quite often will go, and don't chastise me on the brands that I'm going to choose here because we'll try to spread it around. But you're going to go down to Fargo, North Dakota, and you're going to buy a big red quad track. You're going to bring that back. You're going to hook it up to an air drill that's built just outside of Regina, or one that's built in St. Bruce, Saskatchewan, or Saskatoon. You're then going to fill that air drill with seed where the crop genetics came from the Crop Development Center at the University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon. You're going to fill it with potash from Saskatchewan, phosphate from Florida. You're going to fill it with nitrogen that either came from Oklahoma or Redwater, Alberta, and you're going to go out and you seed your crop. You're going to go back down to Des Moines, Iowa. You're going to buy a big green sprayer. You're going to bring it up. You're going to fill it with crop protection chemicals that would be manufactured and purchased from somewhere down in the southeastern U.S. You're going to apply those crop protection chemicals in a very, as I said, in a very specific manner using GPS technology. You're then going to go to Winnipeg, Manitoba and buy a windrower, a MacDon windrower. You'll come back to windrow that your crop as you prepare for harvest. You'll go back down to East Moline, Illinois and buy 1 or 2 of those great big green combines that we see. Bring them back from Frontier, Saskatchewan, put a header on the front of it, and you'll harvest that crop. You put it into a trailer that's built in Anaheim, Saskatchewan, pulled by a Peterbilt truck that's built in Denton, Texas. You're then going to take those oats down to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where Quaker Oats is going to employ Americans, add value to that product, provide oatmeal for us all, some of which we may have eaten this morning. And that's how you create food security in North America, and by extension, we export that product, in Saskatchewan's case, to over 160 countries around the world, and we provide food security for all of our allies across this continent and around the world. That is how integrated we are. And that is a story that we bring to Washington, D.C., the story that we bring each and every time that we're engaging with all of those folks that are around the current president. And ultimately, that is the story that is going to bring us success and bring us back to a free and fair trading environment. A free and fair trading environment where we're able to focus on North American food security, North American energy security and manufacturing security to ensure that we are, in turn, taking care of our continental general security, keeping our communities, our province, our nation, and our continent safe. With all of the turmoil in the world, I think that should be paramount, and if we aren't paying attention to that as North Americans, someone else might be, and they might not have your best interests in mind. And so, how does that relate back to this show? I think it's quite obvious. It's how we create wealth in our communities. Wealth in our families is the agriculture industry. And paramount of the agriculture industry in Saskatchewan, and as Saskatchewan has long been a leader in innovation and pushing the ag industry on the sustainability front, on the yields, and now pushing into higher value products that we're exporting, canola oil as opposed to canola seed. The future is very bright for Saskatchewan agriculture, despite the current conversation that we're having. We will get back to a free and fair trading environment with our partners, and we will advocate, and we'll have to stand beside whoever our federal government is to ensure that that is going to happen. So despite the conversations that we're having today, we will find our way through this. We in Saskatchewan and as Canadians always do, and we are going to continue to be leaders. You are going to continue to be leaders in the agriculture industry as we look ahead through the next number of months, the next number of years, and the next number of decades. And so to all of the organizers, the exhibitors, and in particular all the attendees, and more importantly to everyone that is involved in the agriculture industry in Saskatchewan, thank you. Thank you for what you do each and every day, and thank you for being part of Canada's Farm Show here today and making this March's show a great, great success. Have a great show, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Premier. Thank you for reassuring us on our government's commitment for agriculture, the backbone of our province, and how important we as a province and this agricultural community truly are on a North American and global stage. At this time, I'd like to just announce this is a sold-out trade show. So please take the time and enjoy going through the entire show. This launchpad has a number of learning sessions, speaker panels, and like I said earlier, is presented by Oleet. The next session, be sure to come back at noon there's a lunch here with SaskTel to learn more about their new technology solutions for your farm. Enjoy the rest of your breakfast and enjoy the day and enjoy the conference. Thank you.